welcome to the Nevermind podcast. This is your host Reem, and today we're talking about accents. This is an interesting one to me because on a daily basis, I will get at least one person comment, "Why do you have an accent? Why do you sound like that?" So let's get into it. So, to set the scene, just give some context. I was born in London. I was brought up in Dubai for 7 years, then Kolkata for another 8-ish years, and then Canada for another 8 years. So, that should give you a pretty holistic picture on my upbringing. So, even though I've actually spent a pretty significant portion of my life in Kolkata, like that was middle school and high school, I have spent majority of my life everywhere and with a lot of people from different parts of the world, which has obviously influenced the way I am, how I act, who I like, how I present myself, and obviously the way I sound. Coupled with that, I want to add another layer. I am Bengali. So growing up in Kolkata as well, like I don't know if you know much about the Bengali stereotype, which I will validate right now, is like the whole intellectuals and filled with people who are really into literature and poets and art and music. I will say that I will say that that stereotype is pretty true with like those aunties and uncles with their shawls and reading Tagore, and they do have this British-esque accent, kind of posh, kind of I don't want to use the word elevated, but it like sounds like that. And partly because of colonialism and East India Company and all that. So that's definitely something that exists. So that definitely influenced the way I sound. But I have realized, speaking of colonialism and all of that, that has definitely become like infiltrated and directly impacted the Indian society's obsession with accents and the way we sound across the diaspora. There is a reason why we make such an effort to change the way we sound when we do go abroad, and then there's a reason to also criticize why come back with a fake accent, and then you couple that with code switching and all of that. There's a lot, right? And I thought about it. First things first, the Indian accent has never been considered sexy. You've seen those memes. It's quite they're quite brutal. Like when you think of a sexy accent, you immediately think of a British accent, an American accent, so on and so forth, French accent as well. So predominantly white accents. So you already develop a very poor relationship with the way you sound because it's deemed as unattractive by the world when you look at it how it's represented in global media. Simpsons, Big Bang Theory, Phineas and Ferb. Yeah, I think that's about right. Like the Indian characters are represented quite geeky and nerdy and unattractive. And then on top of that, they have this Indian accent. Even if the actors don't have an Indian accent in real life, they are asked to put one on to kind of continue with the stereotype. So it basically, it's not good. It's not good. It definitely makes us, the Indians who are living in India, feel like the world has a pretty poor view of us. And you couple that with like colonialism and the trauma it like unconsciously has bred in us. There is this inferiority complex that we have. Even though we know that the smartest people of the world, look at all the CEOs, are all Indian, or the most attractive people in the world are also brown. Like whether you think of like Bollywood or Miss India and Miss Universe, well, Miss India obviously, Miss World, Miss Universe, and all of that. Like we have so many examples to validate that we are represented in a very positive light and we are validated in a very positive light. There is a need to shed those negative stereotypes that have been imposed on us through years of media and years of all of that, right? Like there is a need, which is why whenever there are Indians in India going abroad, there is a sense that we need to perform. At least that's what I've noticed, right? Like you automatically go and you just want to fit in. You want to come across and prove to those people that you are not the stereotype. You want to communicate and articulate yourself in a way that makes you seem so much more attractive, like smart. You just want to make them know that you are cool. Indians are cool. I'm not uncool like you've seen in social media before. I'm not social media. You don't want to come across uncool, so you make a valiant effort, and that's why a lot of NRIs unconsciously or consciously will adopt a fake American accent, because there is a superiority slash inferiority complex that we are dealing with. Again, like this whole idea that West is the best and we need that validation. And the thing about it is that the Indians, we definitely like feel that and we resent that as well. Like we also quote unquote make jokes about the whole Firangi thing and all of that stuff. Like we'll make jokes because deep down inside we believe that they are better than us in a weird way. I have seen that happen. Like in a weird way, there's like this starry eyed look in their eyes that make them kind of admire someone. And if it's not admiration, it is jealousy. And those are the ones who generally criticize those who sound differently or have gone through that process of making an effort to sound different, right? And that does come from, again, this whole like response that we've historically had, like this odd perception that we're trying to fight. It's the same goes for like American born, Canadian born, blank born Indians. Like they've grown up, like if you've seen that show Never Have I Ever, and honestly I cannot speak for them because I'm not blank born, but you can see that they go through this whole like I hate being Indian to embracing being Indian because of this whole like stereotype that they're trying to fight, and they also end up believing that they're uncool and they want to be like they want to be accepted and they want to come across quote unquote more white and like want to be whitewashed. Again, it comes down to like the whole internalized racism we've had like issues with colorism. We have all of these things from that colonialism has done to us that has kind of impacted us, and accent is just one of those 100 things that have impacted all of us. So yeah, and then that manifests in so many different ways in the way we like act in the world. So yeah, like even like those people, and I've heard the blank born Indians like kind of you know talk down towards their cousins in India who have an accent and stuff. And honestly, they're just being losers. It's the same when you have Indians from India criticizing the ones who've gone abroad and come back with a fake accent. And like, they're all losers. If you're criticizing and being a hater towards anybody, you're all a loser. You just have to work on your insecurity and working on your self confidence and self acceptance. However, I totally understand why you have that odd resentment in you, because again, it's like that conditioning that colonialism has done to us that makes us believe that West is best. And it's not. It's not. Everybody sucks and every place sucks. Anyway, what I'm saying is that I don't really know what I'm saying. Honestly, all of these are very much unscripted. So I just kind of talk and hope and pray that this becomes an episode and it becomes something. But what I'm getting at is, while there's so much advancement and progress happening in the world, and the way like you already India, because of social media and lots of other reasons, like there's so much representation happening in the world, there's so much going on that's just helping our image and our confidence as individuals from India globally, whether it is in film and music and like TV and all of those like channels. Like we're definitely, and fashion, or how can I forget fashion? Like we're getting our flowers now in so many ways across the board that I think entertainment was a really big one that really affects us. Like, entertainment is so important in influencing the masses. It's so beyond like just a CEO or whatever that does the representation. But like now there's representation in so many sectors of the world that kind of validates us as a country and like individuals as one. I definitely see a lot more acceptance of the way we present ourselves also in the world, right? Um, so I think that's really cool. I think that's pretty cool. Oh, coming to the subject of code switching, I should definitely mention that. There is a huge criticism and lack of understanding because I thought everybody knew this, but clearly some people don't. But the concept of code switching, and it just doesn't happen between the ones who have a fake American accent and have an Indian accent. That's not only where code switching happens, it happens with anybody who has an accent. In fact, even switching from your regular voice to your customer service voice is also code switching. But the concept of code switching is that depending on the context, you will change the way you sound to fit the scenario. And you will see that happen a lot where people who have a native accent will switch depending on the people they're around, the context that they're in, and they'll just like change the way they sound and adapt just so that they can fit in and feel more comfortable as well as make the other person more comfortable. So that is a big reason why a lot of like partly a lot of Indians adopt this fake American accent, but also their accent goes away immediately when they're around like their friends, their family, their parents or whatever, and it'll kind of normalize back. But again, what is normal, we really don't know. That is also a spectrum. But yeah, if I pick up the phone and I talk to my parents, it kind of like my voice becomes a lot more higher and squeakier. I do, and my accent does become a lot thicker, I suppose. And yeah, I think I sound a little different for sure. I definitely oscillate a lot between American English and British English. I used to kind of really get into American English when I moved from Kolkata to Canada. Like, definitely all my waters turned to waters and like my dances turned to dance. But now I think I go between both depending on the context. Like, now my accent has become a hodgepodge because eventually you get tired of keeping it up. Depending on if I'm meeting somebody who has a very strong accent, my accent will like turn up a little bit more. I like turn it on a bit more. But then if I'm around people who are have like different accents, it'll like soften and stuff. But now it's just like this hodgepodge of whatever the fuck this sounds like, you know? So yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's the episode. I hope you guys liked it. I don't really know how this turned out. Again, don't script it. So don't know. Everything just comes out of here and like out of here. Anyway, uh I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.